I learned to be a man by watching men from afar. My brother KJ and I grew up with our mom in a house that always felt too large for the three of us. Our fathers, less around. My brother's dad dropped him off one day when he was a kid and said he would see him soon. He disappeared until my brother was in college. My dad lived an hour north, but as a commercial airline pilot, I never knew where in the country, let alone the world, he might be. We couldn't watch our fathers, so we watched others. I started with cartoon characters like the green alien man from Dragon Ball Z, Piccolo, and Batman from the animated series. Characters who were a lot like my own dad, tall, strong, with deep, booming voices. Piccolo stepped up and helped to train another man's son. He literally risked his life for the boy's safety. And Batman risked a lot too for the city of Gotham. And he supported his many proteges, the Robins, the Batgirls, and his successor, Terry. Flawed as these men were, these characters, I would have loved a mentor like them since my dad wasn't around like that. I gravitated toward men of service, the educators who you could lean on, who helped you to stand and deliver, who would fight through halls of anger that guided young boys when they met the world. The deacons at the family church, frying fish, scrambling eggs, and making grits for fundraisers, helping seniors to and from their seats every service, and supporting the youth. Then I could never know the weight of the struggles that they had, the weight that service levied on them or on their families. I just saw them serving, no matter what. And as a young boy, I would think, I could be a man like them. As I got older, I learned to serve our family. When we moved to an even bigger house so that my grandma could live with us, it was helping her in the garden, digging holes, weeding, helping her move and water plants. It was helping my mom set up work events and classes. I became the designated Christmas tree decorator, the family photographer, and a road trip driver trading shifts with my brother KJ. And by the time I was 20, I became the peacekeeper. Even as a college student, 1,200 miles away from home, my roles were maintained. Still, I served. But it was when I graduated from college and came home to help take care of my grandma, Eartha, that I found the truest joys of service. We spent hours together every single day. I'd get home from work, we'd sit and talk. I'd share my days with her, my highs, my lows, my joys, and my pains. And she would listen, even when she didn't understand. And then she would share her days with me. And then I would listen, even if I didn't understand. I heard stories from her childhood that I never heard before. Her memories of living in South Carolina for the first few years of her life, being carried on her daddy's shoulders as they walked to the market as a family. When they moved to New York, the fact that her daddy left a red suitcase on their doorstep, so she always knew which house was home. There was a closeness that came through serving her that I could have never anticipated. She became more than just my grandma. And through her, I came to know the many ancestors who left far before I arrived. It was beautiful to hear and to be heard. And we made our empty house full. Yet for every warm moment, there were bitter chills. Her cries of anguish when she got the phone calls that her last living siblings had passed away. The late night yells of pain that marked many of the years that she lived with us, that I'd grown accustomed to drawing her blood 2-3 times a day to test for low blood sugar, that I literally had to pick her up when she fell, feeling the weight of her body and carrying her when she couldn't carry herself. I thought I was living a full life regardless. I was in service, just like my childhood heroes. I never considered how movies didn't show what happened to those educators once the credits rolled. Even as I was living out my own struggles as a high school English teacher and as a caretaker, that thought just never occurred to me. Not even 25, but providing and serving as I was supposed to, as a man, no matter the toll to myself. My grandmother, my grandma, Eartha Lee, passed away the Sunday before Thanksgiving, 7 years ago, next month. The day before she passed, she almost left without telling anybody. I got a call from the hospice care that she was unresponsive, and I changed course and drove as fast as I could, hoping for the best, fearing for the worst. When I arrived, my grandma was lying upright in bed, in the deepest of sleep, in what seemed to be a restful dream. I could see her eyes spinning behind her closed eyelids. And I called out to her, "Grandma?" My voice more 12 than 24. And she woke up instantly. She heard me. I held her hand, and then I sat down with her for what will be the very last time. The next day, we got the call. There was no rush this time. Family and friends prayed over speakerphone. The sun blasted golden light on a beautiful day with a brilliant blue sky. There was nothing that would have told you that our world had changed. That for the first time since May 19th, 1933, we were living in a world without Eartha Lee. When we arrived this time, the room was dark, the shades down, one simple lamp, the only source of light, all of her belongings packed. And she was lying upright in bed underneath a stark white sheet. I touched her hand. "This is Grandma." I thought to myself, this is her. But all I could feel were the fingers, the joints, the bones. For the first time in my life, this wasn't Grandma's hand anymore. The cry that emerged from my throat came from the deepest part of my soul. The inner child who had been healing by serving his grandma in her twilight, and the 20-something-year-old man who had made service his purpose broke down together, both cradling the broken glass of what had been everything. My world had changed in ways I never thought possible. Now, I wish I could tell you that thanks to my grandma's love and legacy, I jumped right into healing, that I lived better. But with my grandma gone, I dove deeper into service. We had 2 funerals, one in Miami, the second in New York. The night we buried my grandma, I was on a plane back home. So I didn't miss more than 2 days of teaching. The real of it, even if I had stayed longer, I wouldn't have been ready to heal. No one in the family was, and only some of us are now. It's been just about 7 years, and here I am. Both my grandmas dead, feeling like no one's praying for me. The house she left more empty than it's ever been. But now that I've done the work to heal, I know I'm far from alone. I've learned to embrace the emotions. and live life with them. And though it's been just about 7 years, grief still visits me every day. It sits at my kitchen table, watching me try to make grandma's food. It rests in my garden as I care for vegetables and flowers in ways that would have made her proud. And it also whispers in my ear that I don't have to be perfect to keep going. You don't have to be perfect to keep going. It's not here to hurt me. It's here to grow me and to grow with me. And most of all, grief is here to remind me that as a man, I never need anyone else's permission to cry or to feel or to love. I just have to honor the room that I've made for it. Thank you.